welcome to the Au Jus. I'm your host, Beef Loaf. This show is being sponsored by our friends, Punky's Pizza and Pasta, located at 2600 South Wallace, my personal favorite eatery in the neighborhood. They have the best selection of pizzas and pastas, as well as sandwiches and salads of any spot in Bridgeport. Currently, they have a terrific Monday nights only special, 1 medium cheese pizza for $12.99. No promo codes, no minimums. Just place the order at 3 p.m. or later, and you can get 1 medium cheese pizza for $12.99. Toppings can be added, but at their normal prices. Hit the website, punkyspizza.com, for all your carryout or delivery needs, or to cater your next party. You can also call 312-842-2100. The Scarlotta family will take care of you. Punky's Pizza and Pasta. This show is also powered by you, loyal one-way supporter. Please feel free to tickle the undercarriage of our YouTube channel and smash the like button, turn on notifications, and most definitely super chat. That's how we get paid. It's how we continue to make the content you know and love. Tonight's guest. She's as disappointed in the White Sox as any suburban 40-something mom should be. Jacki Krestel, thanks for coming back on the Au Jus.
You're quite welcome, Beef Loaf.
I usually can find goofy pictures of you, Jacki, but you don't have too much out there. You have the disappointing look in a lot of your pictures lately. I don't know if that's your kids or just the White Sox or what. I have no idea, but that's why I plucked it off.
Not my kids. Come on.
I don't know.
Out of this.
I'm just trying to read you that. Good to have you back on. It's been way too long. You were on like episode 3, and I've been trying to get you back on. We just haven't been able to line it up. It's good to find. And what a perfect day to have you back on to talk a little trade deadline. A little trade you and I don't understand is us talking before the show. And I'll put up an image up on the screen. The White Sox made a 3-way deal today. They traded Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham to the St. Louis Cardinals. They also shipped Michael Kopech to the Dodgers. And in return, they received Miguel Vargas, who's a major league player, infielder, outfielder. He's played more outfield this year, mostly left field. Alexander Albertus and Jarrell Perez. Jacki, initial thoughts on this trade? Because we were waiting for prospects, and then when it all came around, like, is that it?
Yeah. Listen, this is a head scratcher. I don't understand this trade, mostly because we're going to get to this a little bit later, but I don't think that Garrett Crochet is going anywhere, and I also don't think that Luis Robert Jr. is going anywhere. So Eric Fetty was really our chance to make any kind of impact at this deadline. And so what the White Sox chose to do was they traded their 4.6 wins above replacement pitcher that we just plucked out of the South Korean League.
Yep.
For some, I think Fetty alone could have pulled the prospects that we got.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand where Kopech and Pham kind of fit into it. Like, well, what did we get for them?
Right. What's their contribution to these 3 players that we get back? How do they figure in here?
I mean, if Vargas's upside is good, and the White Sox famously world-renowned for being able to address little issues in players and turn them around,
especially hitters, right?
But anyway, if we catch lightning in a bottle and he's our everyday third baseman for like 4 years, then we can look back and be like, okay, well, it was okay. Do you see that happening? I don't know.
It's hard to envision right now, especially watching the quality of team we've been watching this year. Let me get to a drink quickly here. Jerry O'Sullivan says, first off, Jacki's a great guest. I concur. And secondly, do either of you think Sox fans overvalued Fetty as a top starter on the worst team in baseball? Jacki, I'll let you have. Thank you, Jerry. Take a drink. And Jacki, I'll let you have at that question first.
No. No, I don't. Again, like, we signed him as a free agent, right? From nowhere. And brought him back from the deads, and then he turned around and did what he did. 108 strikeouts? What up?
That's couldn't possibly be a better number.
It couldn't possibly. And I think Vargas also has like a weighted run created of plus of 108 or something.
He does, yeah.
Wow.
The number, the significant numbers going on in this deal, for at least for the one-awaiters.
So no, I don't think we overvalued him. I wasn't looking to get, any, great prospects, but I was looking to get a small haul, okay? Jeff Passan,
Jeff
small
Passan
haul.
called it a haul, and I did not feel it was a haul when it came through, Jacki. I don't know about you.
It did not feel like a haul. We were DMing. I'm like, oh, a haul, you say?
There was excitement for a moment when Jeff, everyone, we trust Jeff, right? Jeff Passan, we trust. He says haul, and then it comes through, and it's like, I don't know. I might have to message him and say, you gotta work on your usage of haul. This didn't feel like a haul to all of us.
I don't know. What do you think about Fetty Beef?
I was thinking about this a little bit. I don't think we as White Sox fans underrated or overvalued his performance. His performance when he came here, he was terrific, and he exceeded our expectations of what we thought he probably would do. But when I think about the question with regards to him as a trade asset, I thought about a couple different things. One, we had there were reports over the weekend saying that the market for Fetty was underwhelming. And actually, maybe it was middle of last week, because we had Alex Rude on the 108 podcast, and we were talking about who we thought trades would be the most disappointing to return. And we kind of all agreed that it was probably going to be Fetty because we love Fetty so much and he's pitched so well. Second, if you think about it, you brought it up earlier, Jacki. We signed this man just basically, oh, you played in Korea, great. No other team was going to give him 2 years for $15 million, which is a very small contract, right? And so I wonder if there's a little of the teams that passed on him, didn't want to give him that extra money, maybe still don't believe as much in him today, 6 months later. And so that's where you see a little bit of the market not going to the spots you think a 4.5 win pitcher at the deadline should be at. And finally, he doesn't light up the baseball savant page. No, and I like pitchers that don't do that, but I wonder if there's something in there where it's just like, we're not giving you these top guys because he's not going to give us, 6 innings and 12 Ks. That's not the type of guy he is. He's going to go in there. He's going to be efficient. He's going to mess around with a lot of pitches. This is going to be kind of a different outing and those teams really seek out those guys that, the guys with the monster sliders and the hard fastballs and things. So I did cross my mind, Jerry. I don't think Sox fans have overvalued his production, but maybe the marketplace just doesn't value him as much yet because they haven't seen enough of this for them to really barrel at. I'm not sure, though. It's unclear.
I also don't think, like you said, I don't think I overvalued his value, but it's also just, it's a seller's market. And the Cardinals needed the pitching help. We had the pitching help to give him. And I'm trying not to swear. What did we get?
Swear away.
No. I'm a lady.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I just feel like I really felt like he could have been the one to pull a lot more than what he got. And again, I don't see. I would have taken a lottery ticket for Tommy Pham at this point, and I'm still probably foolishly nostalgic for Michael Kopech. I think his upside is big, and I think if any team can fix him, it might be the Los Angeles Dodgers. So it'll be fun to watch him, pitching in the NLCS this year.
More than likely, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Baloney in the comments says, "How much do I have to super chat for Jacki to cuss?"
Well, how much of that, follow-up question: how much of that cut goes to me?
Well, we get 70% of it. I'm happy to give you the 70%. Go ahead.
Okay.
YouTube takes a cut of it. I did want to double back on the other players because you brought up a good point. What you had in mind with Tommy Pham, any lottery ticket, any kind of something or whatever. I was kind of thinking about Tommy Pham as well. Tommy Pham was free. Anyone could have signed him into the season a little bit. And he's been a breath of fresh air to us White Sox fans only because our team has sucked so bad. But like a guy with a 102 WRC plus that really can't play anywhere but left field, he looked like he had vertigo half the games in right field. When we were sitting right behind him, I'd tell MSS, "What is wrong with your boy Tommy Pham? He looked like he couldn't track that fly ball." I don't know what was going on with him. Center, he cannot play center. Like the White Sox thrust him into center. The man's 36 years old. I mean, you can't have him running around everywhere. So I see like him having a limited utility. I don't think Sox fans overvalued him, but I think we all kind of thought he should add something to this deal, right?
Well, maybe we only thought that because anybody in right field is going to be an improvement over Gavin Sheets.
Right. We're watching it all the time.
So, I mean, oh my God, an actual outfielder? Cool. We're living the big dreams here. So, I don't know. I would have taken almost any prospect for Tommy.
Yeah, so maybe he only
Some bats. Give me a good bat for tummy Pham, and I would be okay.
for Tommy Pham. That's the thing. And I agree with you on Kopech. I think maybe I overrated Kopech personally because I agree with you. I thought he's got all the parts here. I don't know if between here is always working that well, and then the command has been a problem at times, especially the fastball command is hit or miss, but he also being too scared to go to the secondaries a lot of times, maybe also because of command, has short circuited him. So I think we look at it from one perspective, like what the upside is, but if you're the other team, are you looking at like he has the most losses of any reliever? He's got like 1 billion blown saves. Like I don't know how much, just thinking back on it, I was thinking, did I overvalue him? Like, he's the one in there, I think, oh, man, he should have gotten some shit. Some of these other teams, their high leverage relievers got good stuff.
So, because how long did we hear about Michael Kopech before he made his debut with us? Like, we're just hearing about, like, oh, this guy with 104 fastball, just mowing people down and play. And I'm like, yes, God, I want him. But, yeah.
And he's big and he's tall and he's handsome and like he seems like he's thoughtful and it's like, oh man, he's like, I can't wait for this guy to become a guy. And
he never became a guy, but to be fair, not many people become guys on the south side of Chicago.
That's true.
Sorry.
not lately. No. Question for you on this, like with regards to the trade, I felt like the trade was light. I feel like you feel the trade was light, Jackie. We're both on the same page where our initial take is, this is not enough. Maybe the players on it, they'll be fine, but it's not enough. It should be more in this trade. One thought I had when I was looking at it was, is this the tax you have to pay when you tell the other teams that you're getting stuff back from, I want bats only. I will not take any arms. Because the White Sox have foolishly painted themselves in a corner where they don't have enough bats, and and everyone in the market knows they don't have enough bats, and they're going to be out there, hat in hand, asking for bats. Do you think it's possible that they got a shittier return because of that?
Possibly, yes. I'm old enough where I remember the time where that was reversed. Had tons of bats and no arms.
No one who could throw, exactly.
Little overcompensation on our part perhaps. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I mean, because all the guys that came back in the trade today, the first thing I did when I heard about the trade was I reached out to my Dodger friends. I'm like, tell me everything you know about Miguel Vargas. And the feedback that I got was, you're going to like his bat. The stats aren't indicative of his potential. And again, the White Sox, world renowned for being able to tap potential in hitters.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to be a great time. But, stranger things have happened. Sometimes the players just raw skill is enough to overcome being on the Chicago White Sox. But,
yeah, occasionally it is. And I think if the expectations for him are just be above average hitter guy, to buoy this a little bit, maybe that's a little more reasonable. I did notice one particular thing about the guys that they got. The guys they got, they're gonna be catered as they're gonna say, oh, these are up the middle bats. But these are guys who cannot play shortstop. For sure, okay? They're definitely not short. So they're not those up the middle bats. They're not the shortstop center fielder up the middle bats. So that's a little different. Second, they all have the trait of that they seem to manage the strike zone well. These guys are all kind of high walk rate guys. Vargas, Perez, and Albertus are all guys who are like 10% walk rates throughout their levels that they played. The younger guys have only in A-ball, they're 19 years old, but still handling the bat that well. I kind of wondered, is this just Getz saying, look, we just need anyone who will not swing at every fucking pitch because he's watched enough White Sox to know, like, we need more plate discipline?
Beefloaf, I could not tell you what Krestel is thinking. His philosophy seems to be to just buy bats indiscriminately, and hope that something materializes from them. So I don't know that he did much except see names on a sheet of paper. I'm like, oh, okay, like top 20 prospects, I'll take those.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Hand it over. Now, did your friend talking about Vargas have anything to say about where would be the optimal place to play Vargas on defense? Because I've read some things. I just want to see what are the locals saying about this.
He thought, and shout out to my friend AJ, thank you for this inside info. He thought that Vargas would do well as a first base DH kind of situation.
Okay.
And I was like, well, shit, because we've already got a first base DH situation on our hands, and I don't want another.
I'm happy to uproot those guys and give Vargas a chance, I'll be honest. I'm happy to toss every single one of those.
Too.
You know,
How tall is Vargas?
I was
tall
going to ask. Is he lying about his height currently? Is he a true 6'2" or is he lying about his height? See if you can find out.
Keep talking for just a second.
But I was looking at, because there is some talk that they might try him out at second, and I looked up his defensive stats at second last year, and they were horrendous. And there was I realized there was a reason the Dodgers did not play him at second at all this year. He has been left field only, basically, on defense for them. So he's 6'3". So that's 6'3". We got to see if he's if he's lying about a 6'3". I don't know if I trust him at first base.
I don't know.
Jacki.
Put him next to Andrew Vaughn. We'll see what's going on.
If he doesn't tower over him, we know something's wrong there. One last note on this trade, and there'll be a long time before we really truly see it play out. But one of my biggest complaints about Rick Hahn back in the day was it seemed like Rick Hahn would always make his trades based off of whatever Baseball America's list was, and that was it. These two young guys, seem like more shots further down a Dodgers list, but maybe it's based off of Josh Barfield. Maybe it's based off of other guys in these organizations that are seeing the talent and saying, look, we don't give a shit who's what number. Those are the guys that will be able to hit, and eventually they're going to come here and they're going to be able to do these things. I've always wanted Rick Hahn to shock me like that. He never did. He always did the most vanilla, boring thing, and it usually didn't work. So although I feel this is light, and I don't love this trade right out of the gate, this is my only way of holding out hope that maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and maybe they will finally figure out a way to pluck some guys out of someone's system.
Well, I'm proud of you for your optimism, Beef Wolf. It's one that I do not share.
I can tell.
No, I think this is standard bullshit White Sox moves.
That's
my own. Like I said, my only hope is like if maybe Vargas surprises me and he ends up being my everyday third baseman. Cool. I will happily eat crow for the rest of his contract.
Love it.
But man, yeah. I like I said, I can't tell you what Kurtzgas is thinking because I don't understand. I don't understand this trade. And I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because really the only move that he's made to this point was the Cease trade.
Right.
And I mean, we might or might not talk later about Drew Thorpe. Like, and that was,
will.
And he ended up being a dude, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
I'm like, okay, good job. That I will give him his flowers for that one. So when he wasn't making any moves until today, I was frustrated because I know that the moves needed to be made.
Yep.
But I was like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he did make this trade, and I've never seen him in a deadline before, so I'm willing to hang back and see what he does. He says that more trades are coming, and I hope he does a much better job. But this feels like it's kind of going to be the blockbuster of the deadline, and I'm very underwhelmed. I'm underwhelmed.
Me too.
Sorry.
I mean,
I'm positive.
I'm with you, Jacki. I am also underwhelmed. I'm just trying to dig in on it in various ways. Don't mistake this could possibly happen with positive enthusiasm. I'm underwhelmed. I don't like the trade necessarily. I'm trying to just look at it from a bunch of different angles. And I'm with you. Like, he looks to me right out of the gate here like an inexperienced GM at the deadline. I don't think he probably got torched on this deal because everyone knew Eric Fedde was a commodity, so I don't think it's almost like an open auction. If there was someone willing to pay much more, he would have gotten that, I think. But I think that he probably did lose this trade, and just some inexperience did harm him at this deadline.
Chris from Socks in the Basement does a great job, by the way. You should listen to his podcast. But he put out something on Twitter that I think, was it from CBS Sports, where they were giving grades for the trade. He's like, you always want to pay attention to the out-of-market media and see what they're saying. They gave the Dodgers an A for the trade. They gave the Cardinals an A. We got a D.
Wait, the Dodgers got an A for this trade? What did they even get? They got Tommy Edman, who's hurt, and Michael Kopech. All right, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of their end of it. The Cardinals did fucking well. The quick drink from Chuck Janty says, another white wine for Beef. Hourly rate. Thank you. Happy hour. Appreciate that. Well, let's move off of this trade, Jacki. There's a bunch of other stuff I want to get to here. You mentioned Getz said there's going to be more trades. Do you believe him? Do you think there's going to be more movement in the next 24 hours? And who? Who's it going to be?
First of all, there should be. Because you picked up a bunch of people in the offseason for the stated purpose of flipping them at this time of year. So you have to actually go out and do that.
Just execute on it for once.
Yes, please. So, I mean, on my list, I had Fetty and Pham and Kopech. So the only two that are left on my list that I think should be gone by tomorrow at 5 p.m. are Paul DeYoung and maybe John Brebbia.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those make sense, Jackie. And actually, I saw, Saris put a graph out about an hour ago showing the stuff plus for the relievers that are on teams right now before this trade deadline. So with 1 day left to go, with 5% or less chance of making the postseason, and Brebbia was in that top 10. Chad Kuhl was also curiously in there too. So I might be a little surprised if he ends up going tomorrow. But I agree with you. I think Brebbia is kind of a no-brainer, and as frustrating as Paul DeYoung can be sometimes with never walking and striking out a lot, 18 home runs in the middle infield can be put on every contender's bench. So I agree with your two choices there completely.
What does it say about our lineup construction, though, that Paul DeYoung, who is on a cheap one-year deal, leads my team in home runs?
Nothing good.
Come on.
You know what? If you were a better team, that's the type of signing you would really take advantage of during the season. You get a guy to pop up and have 18 home runs, kind of an unexpected spot there. Like you should be able to cash those in. Like that's the most frustrating thing about every White Sox season where they haven't been contenders is like a pop-up person does real well, and you're like, fuck, we couldn't take advantage of that guy putting that good performance out there. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, we tried it a few times this year. It didn't seem to pan out. The Pilars and Moustakas of the world.
Yeah.
It didn't, so.
Pilar working out well for the Angels, but not for us. Of course he is. He's out here.
That's how it goes.
So let's say that the White Sox, maybe they don't get off those trades or whatever, and then out of the remaining roster, would you personally want them to DFA some of these players that are out there, some of these veterans that really, they're either on contracts where you're going to buy them out, like Eloy Jimenez or Yoel Moncada, or like if Paul DeYoung stays, it's a 1 year. Like, is there a reason to keep playing him? Would you start moving these guys out of here, even if you can't trade them, just to play the younger players?
I don't think I would do that at this point of the year. I think I would save that, for September call-ups, maybe.
To the end.
Yeah. Just because I don't trust the big league teams not to injure those players, and I really want to build my
bodies.
team. We need bodies, and bodies. I've been hearing about Coles Montgomery and Noah Schultz for so long, and I don't want them to mess them up. So I want you to do it right. So if anyone's going to be a DFA, I mean, like Max Stassi has been on the injured list all year. He's not coming back.
Yeah, I think it's over.
And so at this point, I think that would make sense for them to DFA him and
You're
bring
already getting paid, Max. Get lost.
Right. But let me see what Kiro's got. Let me see what he's got. If he's going to be our catcher of the future, why don't I see what he's got? Let me see him. See him.
They got Chucky in there right now, and Chucky's just kind of taking up a spot for the moment. No, nothing against you, Chucky. I'm happy to see you get a little major league paycheck, but still.
Right, and then maybe some of the older guys that haven't made. I know that you love Tanner Banks, but I wouldn't mind.
Tanner Blanks, that's my guy. Yeah, you would get rid. I know. I saw that in your notes. I'm like, okay, I remember. I'll remember this, Jackie. You get rid of my guy Tanner Blanks. Just because he can't button a shirt doesn't mean he should be kicked off of here. He said, okay, non-terrible. I need one non-terrible reliever on the roster at all times. Like my last year, Brian Shaw. He wasn't good, but I needed him there. Now, I guess it could be okay, though, because I saw that they brought Touki Toussaint back up. So he's also a beef-loaf guy. So if Tuki's here, I'm okay with it if we got to do something with Tanner Banks. That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. But that's interesting about Mikado. What would you then bring up Brian Ramos?
Yeah, I mean, or if you end up putting Vargas at third, or you give Sosa some more leash and you put him at third and give him a shot at doing some stuff. Like, I don't know. Just trying to think of the utility of the playing time for the last couple months. Like, there's no one really waiting in the wings. That's where it makes it funny. Like, oh, we got this playing time. We could give some. Like, you could just cut Eloy, right? Because you're not going to re-sign Eloy, and it's probably and no one's going to trade for him in the next 24 hours. But there's no DH prospect or someone that you're like, oh, I can't wait to give this guy. And I love my guy Tim Elko, but they just promoted him to Charlotte. He was striking out 29% in Double-A. Like, Charlotte could be a nice, comfy place for him to live. I don't think he's ready for first base in Chicago. But I just kind of thinking through some of these things. Like, who do you even give it to? It's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know, if you DFA Eloy, then Pedro Cafal is going to be so pissed if he has to deal with Oscar Colas anymore. He hates that dude.
Oh, it's
so
incredible how
funny.
much he does.
So funny.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
what a personal beef. Like, I get it. A player can be frustrating, but there is definitely a personal beef between them two. There's just no way
Right.
it's not. Other. They bring him up for like one plate appearance, and then they send his ass back down. It's like, what the fuck was that? Like, what did this poor kid do to you? You know?
I don't know. Wasn't he like in the DMs of someone else's girlfriend?
Oh shit, maybe. I don't.
Hopefully
not.
think,
Hopefully not any of
remember
Grafal's
that.
daughters or anything. That's
no, like another player. I vaguely
Oh.
remember that, but
That's not great. That's probably not great for the clubhouse, I would imagine. So maybe Grafal's right. Maybe the guy shouldn't be up here. Now I noticed that when you mentioned who you thought would get traded, you did not mention Garrett Crochet, who's been like the hot name on the market here. Now last week, Garrett Crochet's agent communicated, I don't know if he meant to communicate this to the public, but communicated this to teams that if his client was going to pitch in the playoffs, he would want an extension of some sort. Jacki, what did you think of this maneuver?
good for him. Good for him. He's never going to have this kind of leverage again. The arc of Garrett Crochet has been delightful and really fun to watch. I am less confident that he will be able to maintain what he's done this year. It based almost solely on like innings pitched. He has more innings this year than his entire career combined, and I don't know how long he can upkeep that. So good for him. Strike while the iron is hot, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking before the show because Getz in his pregame kind of gaggle with the beat writers was butthurt that how
Yes.
dare he ask for so much things, because we were talking and we were on the same page. Fuck you, man. It's always a business until they want to do something for themselves.
Exactly.
Now suddenly it's not a business
Now,
anymore.
you hurt my feelings now. Uh-oh.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, I thought that was bizarre. I thought it was dumb and weird that Getz would emote that, because, one, it's dumb from the perspective of, why would you allow other players to hear you say something like that? Just stay quiet on the shit. And number two, like, don't let anyone hear what you're really thinking about any of these players. Keep that shit tight to the vest until the guy's either traded or you do an extension or you do nothing. But, you know, like Don Corleone, he didn't want his kids talking. Chris Getz, shut the fuck up. Don't say nothing, all right? Be quiet.
Oh, they're in like a group therapy. Like, he was holding the talking stick and he wanted them to know that he used I statements. I feel that it was, yes, just so weird. Shut up, man. Shut up.
That's enough.
And when I was a player, I would never do that. When you were, don't
You
get
were
me
a
started
scrub.
on when you were a player.
Chris, you were a scrub. You didn't have leverage,
Yeah.
bro. Like, this has nothing to do about you. This guy went to the All-Star game. You ain't going to the All-Star
Yeah.
game, kid. You were lucky to be on the roster. Like, no offense, but this is
When
just
you
how things played out, you know?
When he got promoted to GM, my dad would call him the little second baseman. I'm like, that's accurate.
I love that, actually. He should get a polo that has that on there, little second baseman. Now, Crochet, he's been bandied about. You don't think he's going to get traded this time. But what would you do, Jacki, with Crochet? I mean, he's got, after this season, have 2 years of control left. The White Sox are clearly in a rebuilding mode, or at least a mode where they're not competing. We'll put it that way. I don't know if I want to give them enough credit to say that they're actually rebuilding. But would you still consider trading him in the offseason? Or would your mode be like, let's extend this guy, let's try to keep him here?
I would do both. I would try to. I think it would be wise for the White Sox to try to extend Crochet if that's what he wants in order to pitch in October. Not that we're going to October, but give him what he
Right.
wants, because I think if the market has cooled based on what his agents have put out there, he might be willing to take a team-friendly extension at this point. And you can still trade him in the offseason if you want to. And
Yep.
you can wait. You can do what he did with Cease and wait until the market was right and wait until the trade was there. And you can still do that. I mean, I don't think the White Sox will do that. I think they will still go through arbitration with him because it's cheaper
Right.
that way. And,
Yes.
and that's what we're going to do.
That's how Jerry does, yeah.
But I think it would be wise if the White Sox wanted to extend him. I don't think that it's much off of our back. It's not much of a risk, and financially or baseball wise, to extend him.
Right, and who else are you going to spend the money on? I mean, no offense to the rest of whoever's around right now. And
I
then
know.
even the free agent pools aren't that great. You have one or two terrific players. They are not going to come here, even no matter how much money you give them. And then the rest of the thing is middle class free agents. So it'd be tough.
Yeah. So, or you could do what James Fox said, and like, because he's going to be like right under the service years needed, and maybe just option him and manipulate that a little bit.
I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in
I'm
favor
not in
of
favor of
suppressing
that either.
How
But
dare you, James Fox?
If Getz wants to be petty, the option is there.
That would be very extremely petty. Probably not a great idea for other people wanting to be White Sox. But hey, who knows? You know,
Wow.
just
What's
what's
are we
new? What
working
else
with
is new,
now?
right?
Exactly. So
Louis-
I don't. Go ahead.
Luis Roberts also been in the news as to him potentially getting traded. It's looking like he's probably not going to be. Jackie, what do you think the right course of action with him is? He'll have 3 years left to control. 2 of them are option years. What would you do with Luis Robert?
I want to keep Luis Robert too. I don't want to trade him at this deadline. I don't think that anybody has the capital to get him, because what I would be looking for are like 2 top tier prospects to start.
Right.
Start and then see where it went from there. And I don't think anybody's got the bat speed for that. I don't think anyone's got the capital to do that at this point. The only people that maybe I thought could pull it off were the Orioles, because there are lots of prospects on the Orioles not named
Tons.
Jackson Holiday that I would love to see on the south side. I would love to see them on the south side. But
Yeah, what are they doing there, Jackie? They're just like hoarding the thing because they can't play all these people. They can't put them
They
all
are
in the
being
lineup.
so protective of their prospects, and I was tweeting about this. You know, I really like the Orioles. I kind of like that they're kind of plucky, and I wish them well. And this is their window, and the Yankees are not going away. They're making moves.
Yep.
And so if you want to stay in the AL East, you got to do something. And this is your window. And I hope that they don't squander their contention window and their chance to really do something because they got too protective of their prospects. That's something that, White Sox fans might be familiar with.
I was gonna say, you got a great point here because you're right. The Yankees are never going anywhere. They're in a spot right now where it's really just them and the Yankees. However, the Red Sox are on the come, and they have a good farm system. The Rays just saw an opportunity to sell a bunch of stuff and regroup and add more talent to their pile, and they've had a ton of pitching injuries. So next year, they'll be back in there. So then you get back to the 14 blob again. They're like almost giving away a year here by it's not like capitalizing and say, this is the year we want to win this division and win this World Series. It's surprising to me in some ways. In some ways, because it's a lot of the ex-Houston GM front office people, and they did that same shit. They hoarded it, and a bunch of the guys died in the fire, and then it gets shit for them. So I hope that they learned a lesson there, and that they do actually start trading just for their sake. Not even that some of them would eventually come here, which would also be great. I would prefer that very much.
I would prefer that very much. Like, what's the catcher? Basalo?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, he's a young kid, too.
They're all young. Bring them
Give us
down.
all catchers, too.
So,
One of them will stick.
Kobe Mayo, third base, first base. Bradfield Jr., outfield. Or Connor Norby. I wrote
What
them
a
all
name.
down. I'm like, But like they're all young and they're all like position players. Like, and I have enough arms. I would take all of those position players right now.
There's no doubt about it. Speaking of arms, Jackie, we are heading into what I like to call the White Sox death march. The White Sox are already a horrible team, but as of today, they unloaded 3 major leaguers, people that have been helpful mostly to the win side: Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham, Michael Kopech. Looking forward to the final 2 months of the year when we're going to be, this is almost like exhibition games because we're playing for nothing except for the worst record ever. As a former pitcher yourself, give me your early thoughts on Drew Thorpe and John Cannon.
Okay, so I like both Drew Thorpe and John Cannon. Thorpe, he's the changeup guy. He's the guy with the good changeup. I wish that there was a little bit more velocity on his fastball to kind of counteract that, but guys have made careers of far less, and with far less velocity. Like, I think of like Mark Burley, who just had like pinpoint control and just kind of mowed him down that way. But if Thorpe can do that and still have that great changeup, I think he's going to be like he's going to be in the rotation if he sticks around, right? Maybe like even like a 2-3 kind of starter if he sticks around. Cannon, in my notes I wrote Captain America looking Georgia boy.
He's a big man, like sneakily big.
Yeah.
The big beautiful blonde hair, like the way everything, the waves, just like. And then he doesn't throw that hard either, though. It's funny, like how big he is, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna zip one in here, 93 miles an hour, 94 miles an hour, just like decent fat, but nothing like overpowering, you know.
No, but he's got good movement.
Yeah.
Kind of like a less velocity Michael Kopech, maybe a little bit.
Exactly.
No, I think he's going to end up in the rotation as well. And being that. I think that Crochet is probably going to stay at this point. So the upside of the pitching rotation as we like navigate this not rebuild.
Right. Exactly.
So then we're looking at a rotation either next year or the year after. That's Crochet, Thorpe, Cannon, maybe Noah Schultz, whoever else, the White Sox, whatever crafty veteran Dallas Keuchel bullshit they want to bring into there.
You know they're going to do that. You know they're going to do some cheap signings and see who they can get to stick. Like they tried this year with Chris Flex, and it didn't work out that great. But like I bet you they're still going to try those guys in the offseason.
The White Sox, again, being famous for spending a lot of money on pitching,
Right.
free agent pitching. That's going to work. But I think that could be interesting. I think as these young guys come up, especially Thorpe, who even when he gets, like, the other night he got shelled for 8 runs in the first.
Yeah, and I hadn't even made it to my seat by the time he was out of the game, so it was a little brutal.
That doesn't shake my confidence in him. I think he's young, and like there are going to be days if you're going to miss your spots and you're throwing 91 miles an hour, that's going to fucking happen, right?
Yes,
that's going to happen. And
it's okay to have a clunker.
Like
look how good he was before that.
Yeah.
The preceding 4-5 starts. I mean, yeah, you're gonna. I thought the same thing, Jackie, when that happens. Like, all right, shit, let's move on to the next start. I don't care. Like,
right. And like, I think in the post game too, he had that attitude too. He wasn't like dejected. He's like, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, which is how it goes sometimes. So I like him. I like his whole vibe. And obviously, I think he moved twice in 1 year. Like, did the Yankees draft him?
Yeah.
And then he went to San Diego.
Yep.
And yeah, so I mean, like San Diego saw a lot in him too, and it took a Dylan Cease to grab him. So like, I see a lot of upside for that guy.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm excited anytime to watch both of those guys pitch, and they're the different type of pitcher, the antidote to the major velocity and the killer slider guys. These guys pitch, actually. They actually pitch, and they make you swing at their bad pitches, and they induce weak contact, and it's fun to watch, I think, as a fan. Strikeouts are fun, too, but it's also fun to watch a guy throw some flutter ball up there and no one can do much with it, pop it up or hit a little dribbler or something like that.
So as someone who, I didn't play baseball, I played softball, but I was also a pitcher, and those are the kind of pitchers that I like, too, because I don't like just meatheads that are going to go up there and throw like, wah! Like there's no finesse, there's no.
Yeah.
It's a game of chess. Like I like pitchers like that too, that are going to be more about, actually watching tape on the hitters that they're going to see and like coming up with a strategy and executing that strategy instead of just trying to blow them away with heaters up high. That's going to work some of the time. But I think you can, and plus, like, if you're not throwing that hard and your delivery isn't that violent, then you're less susceptible to injury, and you can make a career out of that kind of thing. So
yeah, as much as he wasn't as favorable in the trade market, I enjoyed structurally watching Eric Fetty and then these two young guys that aren't fireballers, but they really do pitch the game. And I think structurally for the White Sox, that's good. If they have more of these types of guys, more of this approach, and they're building an apparatus with Brian Bannister where they're very focused on this type of thing, I think that's good overall, even for the guys that come in as fireballers, because then they're thinking the game in a better way, and it should help the entire program. So it's encouraging. I don't want to. I think I spewed too much optimism. I don't want to be too optimistic, but I do like those guys. Yeah. Let's flip over to something where you may not be as optimistic. I'm not sure, Jackie. The White Sox promoted Brooks Baldwin about 2 weeks ago. Oh, yeah. He was on a goddamn heater in the minors, AA and AAA, couldn't stop hitting. He's up here playing second base basically every day. Is he someone who you're interested in watching, interested in his playing time?
Slightly, but only because, like I said in the notes, I would prefer to see him over Nicky Lopez at this point, who shouldn't be here past this year either. And I would rather see the young guys. I want to see Brooks Baldwin. I want to see what he's able to do. To be honest, I haven't really followed him yet this year. How many games has he been up? He's been up like a week or two, right?
Yeah, I want to say it's probably somewhere around a dozen games, I want to say. It hasn't been that very long. I should look it up right now.
I was like, what is he doing in that time?
I'm all good because, he did have a 3-hit game the other night on Saturday night.
Against who? On Saturday?
Against Seattle. So, yeah, you were there. You were there. Well, it's not that eventful. It's 3 hits against a crappy team. Brooks Baldwin's played 10 games and he has 34 plate appearances. That's a 219 batting average, 265 on base, 344 slug. That's not a very impressive 608 OPS, but still early. Only 32 plate appearances. But
all right, now look at what Nicky Lopez has done.
Not very much. I don't want to look at Nicky Lopez's stats ever again. Here's a drink from Sky on the Rocks. No comment though, but thank you, Sky on the Rocks. Appreciate it. All right, last thing on the White Sox death march. Brian Bannister made some comments. He spoke candidly about how he prefers minor league pitchers used, especially in the back end of the season, and those pitchers that are kind of knocking on the doorstep of the majors, especially starting pitchers. He feels that it's good for them to get a little run in the bullpen before the end of the year. Their stuff ticks up a little bit. They can get a short audition and understand what works and doesn't work and get acclimated to big league life. Jacki, are there pitchers in the White Sox farm system right now that you would like to see as part of this approach? Go in the bullpen on 35th and Shields for August and September, and we get a little glimpse of them. Who's on your short list here?
Absolutely. So Nick Nastrini, I've already seen some of him. I didn't mind him. I wouldn't mind seeing him again. I thought he was decent in his time up here. So I wouldn't mind having him back. Again, like Schultz, why are we waiting anymore on him?
There's no such thing as a pitching prospect. They get guys out of Double A. Let's go. That's
what I'm saying. If you're gonna pull guys from Double A, what about that the other guy that we got in the seats trade? Jacob
Iriarte.
Iriarte,
yeah.
Thank you. I mean, Drew Thorpe was a guy. Let me see if this guy is a guy.
Yep.
I agree with the assessment there. Like, let's call these guys up. Let's see what he's got. There's in this season, there's absolutely nothing to lose.
Yeah, for sure.
120 games.
It's important to everybody, though.
There's absolutely nothing to lose. There is no downside to bringing them up. Let's do it.
Agreed. It's given us something to look forward to, at least. Like, they're going to bring up some of these starting pitchers and try them as bullpen guys. I agree. I was not enamored with Nick Nastrini as a starter guy because he couldn't throw strikes. But I would love to see his stuff tick up a little bit in the bullpen and have to only throw one inning and not prepare for everyone and just unleash it. I would love to fucking see that shit. And I hope they do follow through on some of this approach. Sky on the Rocks, I will let you have this comment because you didn't attach it to your super chat. But it says, Brooks is a lefty and we need one. Let him play. I mean, I agree. I want to see Brooks Baldwin, especially because he did so well this year in the minors. Give the guy a shot. Let's see. And we'll start judging it further down the road. I didn't mean to disparage him with his short playing time there. I know nothing about him yet, but it just the results haven't been great to this point. That's all I was pointing out. Jacki, thanks for sharing your thoughts on the White Sox young pitching core, Garrett Crochet's business decision, the Eric Fetty trade, and what you want to watch for the White Sox death march. Remember, we ain't trying to be right on the show. We're just trying to understand. Anything you want to plug before you go?
Nope. This is about it. This is about it. I don't really write that much anymore. You can follow my friends at the Fan First Sports Network. A lot of our writers are doing some good things there. Okay. And you can also follow my friends at the All Sports Scene. That's if you just want to be goofy. We're just goofy.
Oh, they are goofy, yeah.
I told Sam on Saturday, like, maybe I would do some serious writing over at the All Sports Scene, but I don't know if it fits the genre.
You're afraid you'll be kicked out of there if you have something too serious.
Right.
Well, Jacki, thanks again. Great talking to you as always.
Thanks.
Bye. That was Jacki Krestel. That was great to get her back on finally. It had been a while. Next week's guest is nobody. I'll be at Cottage, so I am not going to do this show next week. But in 2 weeks, on August 12th, I will have the infamous Patches O'Houlihan, a.k.a. Sandra. She's going to be joining me to talk Yankees, talk a little bit about what she does in television production, and also talk about how she's such an infamous character on the artist formerly known as Twitter.com. Thanks to Punky's Pizza and Pasta, as always, the 108 family, and all of you up in the YouTube comments. Appreciate you smashing the like button, comments, and of course, drinks and tips. Thanks for watching this week. We'll be back Thursday, 108 Podcast, and I love all of you. Bye-bye.